You are about to discover how Taylor Swift became one of the biggest singers in the world. Forget the oversimplified analysis out there like,
oh, she's a music genius and that's why she's so big.
No, let's take a more neutral approach here. Hi, my name is Henrique, I'm a music journalist, and today we are diving deep into Taylor Swift's career to ask the burning question: why is she so popular? I've looked into various opinions, even academic articles, to back up my arguments. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Understanding why an artist is so popular is not that easy as we think, especially when it's about mega phenomena. The media in the industry creates magical narratives to appeal the public and to make the highest profit of it. Despite similar paths and predictions, each singer will have some particularities, being a product of its time. Like many superstars, Taylor had a passion for performing arts from a young age. Growing up not too far from New York, she auditioned for Broadway musicals, took vocal and acting lessons. Coming from a well-off family, and perhaps more importantly, having great support from her parents, Taylor had advantages. This is interesting because we often heard stories of celebrities who come from humble families and sometimes dysfunctional families, and through their own talent and hard work, they conquer the world. But in reality, many of these people had favorable circumstances that helped them to reach their positions. That's one of the reasons why I don't buy entirely the notion of innate talent and genius, at least not the idea of a person with divine abilities that achieve great success. One thing is certain: fortune favors the bold. Taylor didn't have success handed on a silver platter. From the moment she picked up a guitar and started to writing songs, she never stopped pursuing her dream of becoming a singer. She submitted demo tapes and performed at local events. Her musical influences spanned from country music and adult contemporary artists like Paul McCartney, Joni Mitchell, Shania Twain, The Chicks, and Faith Hill. That's why she set her sights on Nashville, the home of country music industry. Things progressed quickly for Taylor because in 2003, a talent manager from Britney Spears' team, Dan Jimtro, started working with her when she was 13 years old. He secured a development deal with RCA, got her an Abercrombie & Fitch campaign, and even had one of her songs featured on a Maybelline promotional CD. We don't know the details of their agreement, but he only worked with her for 2 years. After her success, he filed a lawsuit that came to nowhere. Taylor's development deal was a publishing contract with Sony ATV, the publishing company associated to the record label RCA Records. This arrangement served as a way to keep the artist tied to a company, as there were no guarantees and the songs she worked on were immediately released. During this period, Taylor collaborated with other songwriters and producers to refine her skills, with the goal of attracting the attention of a record label and securing a record deal to release an album. While Taylor had a high chance of working on solely as a songwriter, her dream was also to perform her own music. Given the autobiographical nature of her songs, she couldn't wait too long for releasing them. Another thing hard to wait is your liking this video. So please support me clicking on this button. This will help you to promote the video and reach a wider audience. Having a record deal is similar to having a regular job. There can be several reasons why a company would be interested in you. In Taylor's case, the labels believe that she was too young for a market that targets an older audience and has a preference for male voices. The following year, in 2004, Taylor was hired by Sony ATV as the youngest songwriter ever. This led her family to make a permanent move to Nashville. However, Taylor eventually walked away from that development deal, feeling that she was strung along. While some people claim that she turned down a major label, the truth is that she never received a concrete offer. Utilizing her network, Taylor sent promotional packages to various labels, one of which reached Scott Borchetta from DreamWorks Records. Scott also watched her perform at the Bluebird Cafe, a popular place to discover country artists, and offered a deal in his new independent label, Big Machine Records. At this point, Taylor's father became her manager and a minor investor in Big Machine, which was founded the next year. Taylor finally got her record deal and continued publishing with Sony. Despite the risk on the new label, Borchetta had experience on promotion, secured investors like Toby Keith and had signed the veteran Jack Ingram. For Taylor Swift's debut, they used some professionals she met at Sony like Liz Rose and Nathan Chapman. Notably, Taylor enjoyed some creative freedom, with Borchetta supporting Chapman despite his limited album production experience. They incorporated some Taylor's demos and apparently didn't try to shape her musical direction. This is intriguing because many big stars have experienced significant label intervention. It is common for major companies to exert control to maximize profits and minimize risks, but independent labels are historically more flexible about that. To promote her album, Taylor embarked on a radio campaign tour, a common practice in the past. She visited various radio stations requesting interviews and the opportunity to have her songs played. Another platform where she established her initial fan base was MySpace, one of the earliest social networks. Even though the internet wasn't huge as it is now, MySpace held significant influence on emo scene due to its emphasis on music communities. Many pop stars from the 2010s, including Lady Gaga and Katy Perry, gained some initial fame through MySpace. For Taylor, it was the start of her online presence where she could share messages, photos, upload vlogs and songs. According to her old manager Rick Barker, her parents had good marketing minds for helping on her MySpace profile and website since before the label contract. Despite not being a significant platform for country music, it proved valuable for testing songs that would make it onto her album, such as Our Song, which became one of her earliest successful singles. Another example is the lead single Tim McGraw, which gained enough attention on the platform to encourage people to request it on the radio. Other strategy was opening shows for established artists, which allowed her to connect with the typical country music audience. Taylor's acceptance was almost immediate, with the song topping the country charts and getting 5 Hot 100 positions. In the upcoming segments, I will delve into why Taylor Swift became such a beloved and enduring figure in the music industry. But before that, I want to invite you to subscribe on my channel. I'm working to produce more content about music and I will be grateful to have your support. Now let's uncover the secret behind Taylor's success in country music. Country is the strongest genre in music industry since the 70s, a genre that embraces both the past and the present of the United States. Due to the attachment to the traditional, the majority audience tends to be more older than other genres, but that never stopped many artists to conquer other listeners, especially with the rise of country pop. Since the 90s, country pop dominates the country music industry. Sonically, it sounds more like a modern soft rock with some typical country instrumentations and vocals. Pay attention to my reasoning. During the mid-2000s, we had basically two streams in mainstream: the popular R&B dance music associated with hip-hop and electronic music, and the other was pop rock with more acoustic sounds where you can fit country audience. Teen pop declined with the maturity of stars like Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake, but teen pop rock managed some stability with female acts such as Avril Lavigne, Lindsay Lohan, Kelly Clarkson, Ashley Simpson, Hilary Duff. Country music has always been difficult for female acts, as shown in this graph. Even so, in the 2000s we had Shania Twain becoming one of the best-selling singers of all time. Also, the Chicks and Faith Hill was topping, and we had emerging young women such as Carrie Underwood and Miranda Lambert. Country pop, being the mainstream version of the genre, naturally has the appeal for crossover acts like in the intersection of adult contemporary, where many pop rock also fits. For example, a person who likes Kelly Clarkson has a high chance to like Carrie Underwood too. So picture this: you launch a very young singer in the country music, but be careful that she doesn't scream "I'm a little girl," just fitting her in the style of other popular artists. Maybe this cannot convince the traditional audience, but has a good chance to appeal a person who likes a love chill song or has some contact with country songs. And listening the debut, that's exactly the type of music you found there. Fearless would embrace the teenage core, but at that point there was enough evidence that she had the necessary appeal for be successful. And why these people became Swifties? Of course, there were young people who listened to country music, but great success always came with crossover hits, and her songs was that type that could fit in the adult contemporary category while being interesting for teen pop rock audience. And of course, Taylor's compositions had many pop commercial features like common chord progressions. By the way, some people use this to say that Taylor's music is generic, even though this is such a basic thing among many other characteristics that make up a song. I'm not saying that people cannot find her song generic, but judging only by its chords is a cold take. Still, Taylor's songwriting skills are what most give credibility to her work. Looking at music history, we had a moment around the 60s and the 70s when the figure of the singer-songwriter became the most authentic type of singer to follow. In some genres such as rock music and rap, is practically essential. Something that became more common was the singers taking some songwriting credits to gain royalties and gain more public respect. And then we come to Taylor Swift, a singer-songwriting debuting at 16 with personal lyrics that leaves no doubt she wrote them. In terms of image, Taylor fits very well the beauty standards while presenting a common girl look. Good voice, nothing special, but we can observe a preference for high-pitched vocals on 2000s onwards, and charisma, which makes it easier to gain the public. Being friendly and approachable, at least pretending to be, is essential to build a loyal fandom and conquer the media. Taylor Swift is the girl next door archetype, the America's sweetheart. She creates a sense of intimacy with her fans by exposing regular behind the scenes, talking about personal experiences, introducing her real friends, relationships and family, discussing writing process, and so on, often acting like a regular and ordinary person, innocent and optimistic. Even when acting rebellious, she euphemisizes with comedy and fun. It's no wonder she has such a broad appeal across different audiences. As a teenager come of age, her songs would describe her maturation through romantic relationships, giving enough details of the subjects of the songs, and instigating the fans to find secret meanings, as she always used symbols and Easter eggs on her works. Swift writes autobiographical lyrics, a technique that in the internet era is a clever marketing device. I would say that this main narrative at some point got out of hand, because at first she accepted the fame of writing a lot about ex-boyfriends, as she spoke in interviews, joke about it like in the SNL monologue and this Fearless Tour interlude video, but soon that ended up becoming a media hysteria since that just didn't suit her innocent persona. Heartbreak songs has always been lucrative, and when it's inspired by a famous person, they attract intense media attention, fueling the tabloid industry and consequently reverting to music sales. I don't believe it harmed her career, because she always knew how to turn it in her favor. As a dramatic storyteller, everything in her life became an event. Like the VMAs incident that spawned Innocent's performance the following year, Katy Perry's beef, and the Bad Blood blockbuster music video, Kanye's famous track incident boosting the Reputation album narrative, and the political awakening by some lovers' tracks following the Miss Americana doc. Just name some major events that everybody talks. Especially after the pop transition, Taylor adopted the zany narrative of an ordinary girl striving to be a diva superstar. That means she knows her own limitations and clumsiness, but uses comedy and playfulness to poke fun at herself. On the one hand, she demonstrates her vulnerability and humanity by recognizing her limits by doing the best she can, but on the other, as many critics say, the goofy acting can serve to disguise poor performance since it uses a poetic license to deflect criticism. This is interesting to see that until today she has any lows, only highs, sometimes overcoming the expectations. That's because Taylor never walked back about being a pop queen, even when looking for critical acceptance. After boosting her career with the first album and some EPs, she released Fearless, the international breakthrough, and the top-selling album of 2009 in the US, hinting her entry into the pop industry. Indeed, the so-called pop transition was more a market thing to announce the departure of the country aesthetics. That's because Taylor songs throughout the releases sounded more like pop songs than country songs. Furthermore, she was becoming a more common presence in pop media than in the country media. That's why I think putting 1989 wasn't hard at all. It was a natural step if she wanted to continue her presence in the pop mainstream. The album Ready is remarkable being the era transition and notably included collaborations from the renewed pop producers Max Martin and Shellback, whose work defined pop music in the 2000s onwards. Encouraged by Scott Borchetta, that partnership laid to the foundation of the sound of the 1989 album, adding hitmaker Ryan Tedder from One Republic, Jack Antonoff who was standing out in indie pop, and some other punctual professionals. One potential risk is that she could lose her authenticity trying to make it that cheap electropop sound, but she managed to keep growing her fanbase by maintaining good marketing strategies and proving her worth to the industry. I'm gonna list other important things that can explain why she turned to be one of the most successful singers in this century. First, the internet, and I'm not talking about her social media posting, which she would take a slow profile after the 1989. But this new environment that allied with streaming changed the numbers and brought new possibilities for massive distribution. Mainstream artists that managed to dominate the internet having an absurd viralization power, engaging fans and haters. Today, Taylor's approach is to mobilize indirectly, leveraging her huge fanbase to do the heavy lifting. Little competition. If we take the female pop singers as a niche, Taylor had little threat. In the last years, American pop music struggled to raise new million-seller singers, giving space to the veteran artists to concentrate the music profits. I hope to elaborate more in the future, but in capitalism, you always seek to smash the competition to have all the money for yourself. Everyone wants to be in the first place because that's the way this system works. And what I want to say is that to this day, there was no one that can dilute Taylor's success. We know some names that match some Taylor's features, but none of them managed to overcome her. Industry respect. When Taylor came definitely to pop, she looked like a fresh star, but was in her 50th album. Already a multi-million seller, many awards including the coveted Album of the Year and the powerful country music background. Critical acceptance. It's funny to read articles and reviews about Taylor because I have the impression that Swifties flooded the newsrooms, but maybe it has to do with the change of ideology in the music criticism to popism. Before the 2000s, the predominant thinking in the newsrooms would be rockism, the belief that the most authentic and artistic form of popular music was being done by rock musicians. In contrast, popism also sees value in commercial music and questions rock critics for their conservatism towards musical expressions that not follows the common rock aesthetics. In 2014, The Guardian credited Taylor Swift's 1989 album for advancing pop optimism with its great commercial and critical success. Regardless of the arguments, most people agree that pop music is taken more seriously today than in the past. Furthermore, it's hard not to agree with the effects of the internet on the coverage of pop culture, which enhances the homogenization of taste in mass-produced products, like the mainstream music. In Taylor's case, an addendum. Although I don't think she has received so much media backlash as some people say, I don't deny that hateful comments has been made, which in a way contributes to this state of love it or hate it, and weakens constructive criticism. Continuity of the friendly figure. There is this article about Taylor Swift being the superstar who bridges America's political divide because during the polarization in Trump era she remained popular in both sides. Taylor isn't a transgressive artist at all, totally depoliticized. At some point she was forced to take a standout and did it in the most predictable neoliberal way, which was a safe way to respond at demands, remaining culturally relevant for the broadest audience. The Masters controversy. This has become an interesting case to study. Is that saying every cloud has a silver line? She could just re-release all their albums at once and put it on the platforms, but instead of it, she's following a strategic order, bringing demos and other new content, promoting for the general public to revisit her work. The short film from the extended version of All Too Well even received a heavy campaign for the award season. And we can't forget that all this is possible because all her past albums were successful. To complete the Eras World Tour, which is expected to be the most profitable tour of all time. If we take Fearless in 1989 as the peaks of her career, we are experiencing her third. The idea of an era is based on extrapolating the concept album visual elements to the whole promotion period, something common for pop singers that ends up reinventing themselves each release. Taylor's era is more evident in her pop albums, but she managed to use memorable elements by the fans. What's special about the show is that each set is entirely dedicated to an album, making a 3+ hours show, including a special set with surprise songs, making each show unique and leaving the fans to follow bootlegs and live streams on the internet, especially on TikTok. I'm not Taylor Swift's fan, so I try my best doing some research. The points I brought here is what I think is more relevant to talk, because we need to be careful when analyzing a person's fame and prestige, and people tend to get very passionate about it. It's very impressive the way she's so loved and legitimized that she's like an American goddess. I think people tend to be too radical when talking about her work in being good or bad. I have many reservations about her doings, and maybe I do some review of her work. So please don't forget to subscribe. And I want to know your opinion. Do you think she's overrated or underrated? I have a shop of custom items and I made an illustration of Taylor. Actually, the complete drawing is inspired on the Eras tour, but I don't have much experience in digital art and it's taking a lot of time to finish. So for now, I'll be selling the Midnight's part. You can have it on Zazzle, and in the future, I'll be making my own site, so check the link on the description for the best path. I hope you enjoy. All the links and references will be on the pinned comment. Thank you so much for watching this far. And please check my last video if you like world music history. See you soon.